Hello there, and welcome to my channel, Novice Modelling in the Midlife Crisis. My name is Andy, and today we had a new delivery, which was my GAAHLERI Ambition Series Airbrush Compressor Kit, which is titled New Game Start. So, what do we think? Now, just for those that are looking at this and thinking he's going to tell us all about how wonderful this airbrush that he's got is, that's not what I'm going to do. It is a sort of first impressions video only, and I'm just offering a sort of comparison to the bit of equipment that I've been using previously for airbrushing, and just running through what I'm basically going to use it for my first practice go of it, if you like. So to roll back to the beginning, sort of 12 months ago, we started our little model making journey with buying this Expo AB605 Super Detail airbrush set, and to be honest with you, I ain't got no problems with this for a beginner. It gave me what I wanted. It gave me an airbrush, it gave me a compressor, a hose, and the various bits and bobs. It also gave me this fancy carrying case, which is kind of useless anyway, but that's what we got. So there's our current state of play airbrush. This is a replacement airbrush because we managed to not look after them very well, and we've killed a couple over the past 12 months. But the compressor is what we've been using, and that's the basics of what you got. Now, price wise, I think this cost me about £95. So it's a middle of the road thing at the end of the day. It's not one of these big chunky compressors, but it does what it says on the tin. So I've been kind of happy with it to use and learn a few things, but I've always been a little bit sort of not happy with certain aspects of it, which I'll go into in a second. So the GAAHLERI turned up today, which we've taken out of the box and had a quick look at. That's the empty box. Don't know why I bothered showing you that, but you know, whatever. So this is it here, and it's a bit bigger than the other one. But the important thing for me, as you can see, it's got a PSI rating scale on here of 15 up to 27. So it shows you the actual variances on PSI that you're using, with a pressure increase and a pressure decrease, a maximum pressure and a minimum pressure button. So you can vary the air pressure and actually see what you're doing. Whereas the previous one I had, the Expo, had a low, medium and high setting, and I've only ever used the low. When I've tried the high, it's just come out with a whole lot of paint, so I've just had it on the low. So I've been very curious to see what happens when you have the option of varying your PSI. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I got this one. I mean, the reason why I didn't go buying one of these great big air compressors, apart from the obvious price of sort of £70 for an unknown brand to £500 for a high quality brand, is price and size, and not really knowing what the hell it is I'm spending the extra money on for. Now, I've actually purchased previously this GAAHLERI, what the hell is this, a Advanced GHD-39 airbrush, and I did a review on, well, a basic review on this, and I've had a couple of goes on this and I've been quite impressed with it. And I've seen a lot of people, you know, harping on about these GAAHLERI products, and I thought, well, that's a nice quality airbrush compared to the sort of 15 to 20 quid ones. And in the short term, I thought to myself, well, the £72 that I paid Amazon for this, compared to the 90 odd pounds I paid for this originally, or the 70 to 200, 400, 500 pounds for a high quality compressor, this seemed like a really good sort of middle of the road, giving me the options of PSI variance that I wanted. And I was hoping it's going to be quiet, because this is a noisy damn thing, which I'll show you in a minute. So that's kind of the main reasons why I got this. I mean, I hate to sound like a bit of a cheapskate, you know, going for something that's relatively cheap, but it just doesn't seem logical to me at the end of the day to spend hundreds of pounds on airbrush equipment when I don't really know what I'm doing. So the intention for this is going to be to utilise it for the first time with some airbrush primer, which we got about a year ago from Army Painter, instead of using our spray colour primer, which we've been using for the past 12 months. And we're going to try and do some pre-shading on these Tamiya Military Miniatures 35048, which we're going to be building over the next week. Obviously, I'm probably just going to hand paint the top coat on, but it's going to be interesting for me to see what pre-shading is all about, because previously when I've tried to do pre-shading, I've just used sort of grey, black and white marbled effect. So this is going to hopefully give me the option of doing some fine spraying and getting some of these better effects. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the quick start guide, which I've briefly flicked through and found it a lot more interesting and detailed than what I got with this. I mean, it's all very basic compared to, you know, assuming that you know what you're doing, you're connecting power, connecting the airbrush. I mean, one added feature on this particular one is you can actually connect 2 airbrushes to your compressor at once, which, I don't know, is that a good thing? I mean, it's useful, I suppose. We've got button and indicator lights here, which, like I've said, tell you what pressure, or indicate what, vary the pressure that you're actually utilizing. So it's given us here different PSI variances of 15 to 21, commonly used for detail spraying, which is what I kind of want to be doing. 19 to 25, commonly used for spraying scenarios. 23 to 27, commonly used for priming and metallic paint spraying. So that's useful information straight away. So that tells you basics on how to, you know, add paint and begin to spray, which I kind of already figured out. It gives you the perfect spraying effect here, which is sort of too thick, dilute with thinner, perfect, reduce air pressure, or add undiluted paint because you've got too much thinners in there. Gives you some basic instructions on disassembly and cleaning, which, you know, they're useful. It's kind of what I do anyway, so that's okay. And then it gives you instructions on deep cleaning and how to remove all the parts. Now, it's interesting that with these GAAHLERI airbrushes, they actually have a sort of removable nozzle that doesn't require the old sort of spanner sort of thing. I haven't actually tried removing a nozzle from an airbrush yet, but that's something we'll do over the next sort of week or so, and we'll give you some feedback on that. And yeah, and then assemble back in order, so it gives you some basic instructions on how to actually do it. And then obviously we move into German, so we've got a nice big book here with just very basic sort of details on how to clean it and use it. So anyway, let's compare the two. I mean, it's not really a very fair thing because this is, you know, not great, but it's still, these still go for 90 quid. And this one's 72 off Amazon. You can pay more for that, but that's how much I paid for it. So I'm going to give it the noise test first, because I've always kind of found this one irritating, although I have heard some big compressors since, and they're kind of noisy as well, so the noise is something you have to deal with. One thing that did annoy me with this one is that it did have a tendency to sort of rattle around the desk as it was going. One benefit that I have discovered with this is the motor is only actually engaged when you depress the trigger. See, when you depress the trigger on the airbrush, whereas this one is just a constant bloody racket. So I'm going to turn this one on, and as you can see, it kind of moves. You know, it's moving. I'm not doing nothing there. It's moving around. That's on full whack. That's on medium, and that's on low. This new one, so that's on low, and that's on full, so the difference is quite a lot. So obviously you can see that when you depress, it turns off. So that's good for me at the end of the day. You know, when you want to play around and do some stuff, you just turn it on. I suppose it's saving electric as well. So I'm saving money just by using this one. That's the theory anyway. So the actual airbrush that you get with this is called a GAAHLERI Classic CS36.38. So it comes fitted with a 0.38 needle. Compared to this sort of £20-25 jobby off Amazon, It's a lot more substantial. It feels a lot better quality. Sorry, this one's actually not working at the moment. It's missing its lever. But it's the basic one. But like I say, my plan is to combine this with the slightly better airbrush that Gaahleri, one of the slightly better airbrushes that Gaahleri produced, the GHAD-39. Now, the one thing that's, I'm not saying this is a down thing, but it's something that I've noticed, and I'm not sure whether the other higher quality brand manufacturers of airbrushes do this, is it does appear that instead of with your cheap and cheerfuls, you can just go onto Amazon and pick up a load of needles and bits and bobs for 10-15 quid. It does seem that you need to buy specific needles for this from Gaahleri via Amazon or wherever, and they're not cheap. You know, a needle set is going to cost you, I think it's around about sort of £8 to £12. So there's this sort of weighing up thing. But for me personally, this served me fine, but I needed something better with more options and more control. And this seems to me like a pretty good halfway house at the moment, before I think about spending £300 on a big compressor, to learn a few more things and to take my model skills a little bit further. So I think what I'm actually coming to is, for a potential novice airbrusher or novice modeler or whatever you want to say, someone just coming back into the model making malarkey game, there's a lot of these sort of cheap and cheerful ones out there for £50 to £100, and this one for 70 seems to have 70 something seems to have a lot more potential than one of these ones, or one of these semi sort of unknown Amazon brands that are just from China. I'm sure this is made from China as well, whereas these are perfectly good for now. This seems to just offer to me a little bit more in the intermediate period. Plus, I suppose I can stick this one on eBay now and maybe I'll get 20 quid for it, who knows. So yeah, that's the whole point. So over the next week, I'm going to be building this. There's a video out for this already, which is the 35048 military miniatures Western European US infantry kit, which is a bit vintage. It's 1974 tooling. But for me, as a novice that's never built a full infantry set, this is ideal. I'm going to play around with my 1-year-old air primers that I've never used. I'm going to try a little bit of this pre-shading with the airbrush, and I'm going to be watching Kelly's Heroes as I go along, because my figures I've named Grace, Kelly, Cowboy, Crap Game, Big Joe, Little Joe, Willard and Barbara, who were all characters from the film Kelly's Heroes. So I do hope you tune in over the next week or so to see me have a pop at these with my new airbrush and gear, and hopefully we'll have a bit of fun. And after sort of in a week or 10 days, I'll do a slightly more detailed breakdown on what I think of this new bit of gear, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to improve my abilities, which need improving, because I often refer to myself as the Muppet who makes models badly, but that's the way we're going. So that's the theory of what's going on with this little vid, and there will be a follow-up, well, maybe two, over the next coming weeks on how we progress, and whether, I'm not into recommending people go out and buy things, but people do tend to go out and buy kits because I've shown them on online. But maybe, you may decide to get this one as a first choice for if you decide to take up this airbrushing or this model making game. So thanks very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and there'll be some more vids, and please do check out the other sort of 400 or 500 vids on channel if you haven't tuned into me before. This is Andy, as always, the Novice Modeller, signing off with his favourite saying, be seeing you.